Tonight, we begin a gentle journey inward, not to search for something new, but to turn softly toward what you already carry, the weight you feel, the thoughts you've gone over 1,000 times. Here is a simple truth. Even a small concern feels heavy when held too long. You know this well. Your mind understands the change forming in your life, but your heart still grips the old shape of things. Your body remembers how it used to be, and some part of you holds on, just a little too tightly. Not because you are wrong, only because letting go takes time. Maybe it's like that familiar habit, the one you've tried to release for months. You know life could feel lighter without it. You've read about it, you've talked about it, and yet your hands keep reaching for it. Without thought, not out of stubbornness, just from years of moving the same way, like muscle memory of the mind. In the teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded that everything changes, even the things we wish could stay still. We suffer most when we cling to what is already moving, like holding tight to a river. It keeps flowing anyway, and our hands grow tired. Now you are here, somewhere quiet. Perhaps the room is dim. Perhaps only the hum of your own thoughts remains. Your eyes may feel warm, your breath slow but not yet settled, the body ready for rest, yet the mind still turning small circles. You are not alone in this moment. There are others listening too. People with their own habits, their own memories, their own worries they touch again and again. Each one breathing softly in the dark. Each one hoping to sleep more easily tonight. If you feel like it, you may share where you are listening from. Just a word, a state, a small wave in the night. Sometimes knowing that others are out there helps the heart settle. We remember we are part of something quiet and gentle, a shared human evening. And now, we will move into the stories. Simple teachings to help loosen the grip of overthinking, tales to soothe the busy mind, to remind us that change is part of living. You can rest now. You can listen without effort. Settle into your pillow. Feel the breath soften. Let the thoughts drift like leaves on a slow river. We will begin. Story 1. The teacup on the old porch. I will now begin with story 1. The evening settles gently over a small wooden porch. Cicadas hum like distant memories. A warm cup of tea rests between old hands. Steam rises slow and soft, like thoughts unwinding. The porch boards hold years of quiet conversation. Footsteps, laughter, silence, and long exhale. There lives an elderly monk here, his robe faded by sun and seasons, his smile light as morning mist. He pours tea with no rush, no purpose but presence. Beside him sits a younger man, tired eyes, shoulders heavy, mind racing. The young man works long hours, emails, deadlines, endless thinking. He lies awake most nights, replaying conversations, planning tomorrow, fixing imagined problems. Even now, on this peaceful porch, his knee bounces, his breath shallow. The monk notices, but does not correct him. Instead, he lifts the teacup, holds it without drinking, just feeling the warmth in his fingers. The young man watches, puzzled. The monk speaks softly, almost a whisper. When the cup is full, it spills. No lecture, no sermon, just words floating like evening breeze. The young man nods politely, but his thoughts swirl louder. He speaks of work pressure, bills to pay, expectations to meet. how the world moves faster each year. He must keep up. He says, people depend on him. Failure terrifies him. The monk listens, eyes kind and unhurried. He refills the young man's cup until tea reaches the brim, then keeps pouring. Gently, quietly, liquid spills over the edge, down the table, onto the porch. The young man jumps back. Stop, he says. It's overflowing. Is not so. The monk nods. So is your mind. I kefir. The young man looks at the cup. The warm spill soaking into old wood. He feels something loosen inside, like a knot untangling. He realizes he has been thinking without pause, holding worries like stones in his chest. The monk sets the teapot down. Thoughts are useful, he says, but only when held lightly. Mine, he draws a slow breath, lets it out even slower. The sky darkens. First stars appear like tiny lanterns. The young man copies the breath, inhales gently, exhales with a long sigh he didn't know he carried. They sit without words for a while. Crickets sing. Warm tea soothes tired hands. The young man notices the breeze on his skin, the smell of cedar, the soft rustle of leaves. His mind quiets, not by force, but by simple presence, like clouds drifting apart, like water settling when left untouched. The monk speaks again, barely audible. When you let go of one thought, another rises and fades. No need to chase, no need to push away. Just notice, just breathe. Well, now, the young man nods. Truly now, not in politeness, but in understanding that reaches his body. You listening tonight may feel this too. The weight of overthinking, the pressure to solve life before morning. You don't need to fix anything right now. You only need to rest with what is here. The monk offers one last teaching. As gentle as tea steam in cool air, the mind is like a cup, empty a little, and it can hold peace, even, and the night deepens, soft and forgiving, as if inviting you toward calm, toward stillness, toward sleep. Story 11. The gardener who stopped counting. The night settles softly over a quiet backyard garden. Moonlight rests on leaves like silver breath. A small wooden gate stands open, creaking gently whenever the wind wanders through. Crickets keep slow rhythm, like a heartbeat, somewhere not far away. A dog sighs in sleep. An old gardener sits on a low stool, hands folded in his lap. His boots are muddy, his shirt worn thin from decades of sun and soil. He has grown vegetables here longer than anyone remembers. Tomatoes red as sunset, beans climbing like children on a fence, herbs with scents that calm even stubborn minds. A young woman visits him tonight, her life filled with deadlines and alarms, meetings stacked like stones, endless tabs open on her laptop. She has forgotten how evenings used to feel. She comes to the garden hoping for answers, or maybe just silence. The gardener gives her a seat beside him. No rush, no small talk, only the soft sound of leaves brushing the night. She tells him about her worry, her need to count achievements, to measure progress, to always be improving, even when she is tired, even when her heart longs to rest. The gardener nods, not with pity, but with understanding that comes from years. He picks up a small seed from his pocket, holds it between rough fingertips. Do you know how many seeds I planted this spring? He asks. She guesses numbers. 20, 50, 100. He shakes his head, smiling faintly. I stopped counting long ago. Ethan, the woman frowns. But how do you track success? The gardener presses soil around a seedling. Slow, gentle. Asking a flower to bloom faster never works. He says, it blooms when it's ready. As Ivri, the woman feels something inside soften. Her breath loosens, like a tight thread finally unwinding. She notices moonlight on damp soil, how the air smells of basil and fresh earth. She hadn't smelled anything all week, only thought, only pushed herself. The gardener pours water at the base of each plant, the sound like rain on a warm roof. You count because you fear falling behind. He says, but behind what? Life is not a race. It is a garden. Some days you tend, some days you rest. Growth happens quietly. Infot, she sits with that. The words do not force her to agree. They simply settle like dew. She watches a moth floating near a lantern. No hurry, no goal, only motion in soft light. The gardener offers her a leaf of mint. Chew slowly. He whispers. She does. Cool sweetness spreads across her tongue, then into her chest. A small piece she didn't expect. You don't have to track every moment. He says, not every success can be counted. If no, he looks at the sky, calm as deep water. Some victories are quiet, like sleeping well, like letting yourself be enough. Telm, you listening now may feel this too. The pressure to count, measure, prove. But tonight, you can let it soften. The world will continue without your worry. Your garden will grow even while you sleep. The gardener smiles, as though speaking to your heart. Plant your effort. Water your day. Then trust the night to do the rest. And the crickets continue. Slow, steady, calling you toward stillness, toward ease, toward sleep. Story 21. The sweater in the quiet closet. Night has fallen softly over a small house near the woods. A lamp glows warm in the hallway, casting slow shadows along the floor. Rain taps gently on the roof, steady and comforting, like a heartbeat. Inside a quiet bedroom sits an old wooden closet, its door slightly open. As though breathing, an elderly seamstress lives here. Her hands are lined like riverbeds, gentle, practiced, unhurried. She has stitched for decades, weddings, births, farewells. Every thread a moment of someone's life. But now the shop is closed. Only memories remain in drawers of folded fabric. Tonight, she stands in the closet doorway, touching the sleeve of a half-finished sweater. Soft wool, pale grey like morning fog. She began it for her husband years ago, before he passed quietly one winter night. She kept the sweater, not to wear, but to hold the shape of what once was. A young neighbor visits her this evening. He struggles with letting go, not of a person, but of a dream that changed shape. A job he worked hard for, yet no longer fits the life he wants. Still, he holds it in his mind, turning it over like a stone, feeling the weight, though it brings no joy. They sit together near the closet. The air is warm with the smell of cedar and wool. He tells her of regret, of the fear of stepping away, the voice that says he must not waste what he built. Even as his heart pulls gently toward a different path, the seamstress listens with quiet eyes. She lifts the sweater from its hanger, runs her fingers along the last unfinished row. When he was alive, she says softly, I believed finishing this would keep him close. End was the first Her voice trembles like a memory. But holding on did not stop time. It only kept my hands from making new things. She sets the sweater in the young man's lap. Touch it, she whispers. He does. It is warm from her hands, but heavy with years. I take it out sometimes. She continues, not to cling, but to honor love. Yet I no longer try to finish it. Ivry, no, she smiles gently, like a candle flame in calm air. Some things are complete, even when unfinished. It's Mose. The young man breathes deeply, as if her words open space inside him. He looks at the sweater again, not with sorrow, but with understanding. Change does not erase what came before. It simply makes room for what comes next. Rain continues its soft rhythm. The house feels like a safe sigh in the dark. You listening now may feel this too. The pull of what was. The weight of what no longer fits. Not wrong. Not failure. Just life gently shifting seasons. The seamstress speaks once more. A teaching folded inside her tone. We keep love. Memory. Effort. She says. But we need not carry every thread forever. When we loosen our hold, the heart can breathe. And breathing, it can rest. 2000. The closet door settles back into stillness. Rain softens into a hush. And the night invites you, like a warm blanket, toward quiet, toward peace, toward sleep. Story 31. The lantern in the library. A deep quiet rests over the old library tonight. Tall shelves lean like gentle elders, their spines worn by decades of hands and evenings. Dust floats through lantern light, slow as snowfall, soft as breath. Outside, city sounds fade into a distant hum, like waves smoothing themselves upon a shore. In the far corner sits an elderly librarian, small glasses balanced near the end of her nose. Her sweater drapes like a warm cloud around narrow shoulders. She moves with care, each gesture deliberate, simple, present. She closes a heavy book, the leather cover sighing as she lets go. A man enters quietly, his steps uneven, unsure. He works long hours downtown, filling spreadsheets, holding meetings, carrying a storm of thoughts that rarely rests. Overthinking has become his second job. He lies awake, counting tasks like restless sheep. Tonight he comes seeking calm, though he does not know what form calm will take. The librarian waves him closer. No words at first, only the soft scrape of her chair across old floor. She hands him a lantern. Small, metal, gently warm from a hidden candle. Walk with me, she says, voice calm as falling ash. They move between shelves like travelers in a wooded path. Stories, histories, lives, all waiting in silence. She stops before 3 tables. On the first sits a stack of books, tall as his chest. Reports he never finished. Plans he keeps rewriting. Thoughts of tomorrow. She says, useful, but heavy when carried at night. Like shaven grain. On the second table, a single open page. A past mistake, circled in red ink. The man looks away, jaw tight. Mistakes haunt him like whispers. She touches the page with gentle fingers. Yesterday doesn't change when stared at. She murmurs. It only grows sharper. On the third table waits an empty journal. Plain, unlined, open like fresh snow. The lantern light rests on it like morning sun. The librarian sits, Her voice lowers, soft as wool. The Buddha taught that the mind wanders, but can be led back, the way a lantern guides feet through dark rooms. One to this, no scripture reference, only everyday truth. She invites him to write only one thing, not goals, not regrets, just a single breath of truth. Something simple, something real. He writes, "I'm tired." The ink sinks into paper, like rain into thirsty earth. He exhales a breath he didn't know he held. The librarian nods, her smile a warm lamp in human form. When the mind is full, she says, we do not force silence. We give it light and let thoughts settle like snow in still air. It's not, you listening now may feel this too. The pull of unfinished lists, the echo of old errors, the weight of future planning. But tonight, you can set them all down, not forever, just until morning. The librarian returns the lantern to his hands. Carry only what you need for this step. She whispers, one small light is enough in the dark. If you look, and the stacks fade into gentle shadow, like thoughts turning dim before sleep. The lantern glow follows you inward, soft, steady, kind, guiding you toward peace, toward rest, toward sleep. Story 41. The slow river behind the mill. Evening settles like a soft blanket across the old riverside town. Streetlights glow, warm and dim. Amber halos touching wet cobblestones after light rain. Far beyond the homes and shops, where the town grows quiet as breath before sleep. A slow river winds behind an unused grain mill. It moves patiently. Brushes, reeds and stones, the way time brushes memory, without hurry, without demand. An older fisherman stands beside the water tonight. His coat is frayed at the sleeves, but his posture calm as weathered oak. A small lantern rests by his boots, its flame wavering like a thought just beginning to fade. A woman approaches with gentle steps. She has been carrying worry for months, work decisions, aging parents, a future she tries to hold together with thinking alone. Her mind runs even at night, round and round. The way river currents circle leaves caught near shore. The fisherman nods in greeting, offers her a seat on a smooth stone. They sit without needing conversation, just the river, the night air smelling faintly of rain and pine. Somewhere an owl calls once. Then again, after a long moment, she speaks about her restlessness, how sleep escapes her like a fish slipping from open hands, how she clings to plans, rewrites outcomes that haven't happened, tries to solve tomorrow before it comes. Her voice trembles at the edges, exhaustion woven through every syllable. The fisherman looks toward the river, as if listening to something deeper than words. He picks up a leaf beside him, yellowed from season change. He places it gently on the surface of the water. Watch, he murmurs. The leaf drifts forward, caught, then released, never resisting, never steering. Sometimes it pauses where currents meet, as if deciding nothing at all. Then it continues, carried by the patient flow. This river, the fisherman says, does not force itself through stone. It moves around, over time, with trust. His voice carries like a lullaby for tired thoughts. The woman feels something loosen in her chest. She watches the leaf disappear around a bend, soft ripples fading as easily as sighs. She wonders how it would feel to stop pushing and simply be carried for a while. The fisherman hands her a small tin cup of warm tea. Steam rises into night air, like thought releasing. She sips, and her shoulders soften, like knots untwisting without effort. You listening now might know this feeling, holding life too tightly, thinking through every what if, tiring the heart with constant steering. But tonight, you may rest like the leaf, trusting the river of life to carry you gently forward. The fisherman sets his empty cup down. Tomorrow will come, he says softly. It always does. But tonight belongs to peace. He looks into the slow water, eyes kind as lantern glow. You don't need every answer before sleep, he whispers. Just let the current hold you a while. 80 is tome, 80, and the river continues. Steady, unhurried, as if guiding your breath toward ease, toward release, toward deep and restful sleep. Story 51. The clockmaker's quiet morning. Morning light rests softly over a narrow cobblestone street. Shops are only beginning to wake, their windows clouded with the cool breath of dawn. A small bell above a wooden door rings gently, like a calm thought entering the mind. Inside, the clockmaker's workshop glows gold, dust dancing in warm shafts of sunlight. Every surface holds time, pocket watches, cuckoo clocks, tall grandfather pieces, each ticking at its own measured rhythm. The sound is not loud, but steady, comforting, like rain on leaves, like the beat of a slow heart. The clockmaker is an old man now, his hair white as winter ash, hands weathered by decades of gears and springs. He once repaired clocks for the whole town, working long into evenings, fixing everyone's sense of time but his own. Today he moves more gently. He polishes a brass casing as if polishing memory. Breath slow, shoulders relaxed like hanging cloth. He hears the ticking not as work, but as company, little voices reminding him to stay present. A younger visitor enters, carrying a wristwatch that stopped months ago. He waited to bring it in. Too busy, too rushed, always promising himself, later. I know his mind races even now, full of overdue messages, unfinished plans, the feeling of time slipping like sand through fingers. The gentleman sits by the workbench. He speaks quickly, words spilling like loose screws. Deadlines, missed chances, fears of falling behind. He tries to control minutes with effort, gripping them tight, yet they escape anyway. The clockmaker listens with the patience of old trees. He takes the watch, opens it carefully. Tiny gears glimmer under magnifying light, intricate as thoughts, delicate as worry. He says nothing at first, only breathes, hands steady as a monk arranging tea. A small spring had slipped from its place long ago. He presses it gently back. No force, only alignment. There, he whispers. The watch begins to tick. Soft, even, faithful. The younger man exhales, as though a tide inside him has turned. How simple the repair seems, yet how long he delayed it. He stares at the watch, feeling a warmth he cannot name. The clockmaker spreads his tools aside. Time does not ask us to chase it, he murmurs. It walks whether we hurry or rest. Well, his words fall like snowflakes, light, slow, settling without sound. The young man looks around the shop. Clocks everywhere, each ticking differently, yet none rushed. Some fast, some slow, and yet all moving forward in their own way. You work so calmly, he says. voice quieter than when he arrived. The clockmaker smiles, eyes creasing like folded parchment. When I was young, he says, I wanted to fix every clock at once. My mind ticked faster than my hands. I learned that when I slowed down, time slowed with me. And Will, you listening may feel this too. The pressure of minutes, the urge to race your own life, to measure worth in days and tasks. But you are allowed to move gently. You are allowed to rest. The clockmaker places the watch back in its owner's hand. Let it tick, he says softly, and let yourself breathe with it. Slow, steady, enough, enough. Outside, the morning brightens, the street wakes, but the heart grows calm, and somewhere inside you, a quiet ticking begins to match your breath, patient, peaceful, like drifting towards sleep. Story 61. The painter who used fewer colors. A soft afternoon light drifts across an old studio loft. Tall windows hold the last stretch of daylight. A warm glow settling over easels, brushes, and canvases leaning like quiet memories along the brick wall. Dust moves slowly in golden beams, each speck falling like a thought released back into silence. The painter is elderly now, his hair silver as moonlit snow, his fingers stained with colors from years of creation. He once painted bold scenes, crowded markets, rushing rivers, celebrations bright with sound. He worked fast then, always chasing the next masterpiece. Layer after layer, brighter, heavier, more. But time has softened him. He paints differently these days. Fewer strokes, gentler shades, almost as if he paints the space between things. A young woman visits the loft today. She is an architect, her mind filled with blueprints and deadlines. She worries she is falling behind others, that her work is never quite enough. Even when she finishes a project, her mind moves to the next. Success brings relief, not rest. She stands quietly, watching him mix paint, soft grays, moss greens, tender earth tones that calm the air around them. She wonders why he uses so few colors, when he once had shelves stacked with every shade. The painter gestures to a stool beside him. She sits, shoulders tense like bundled rope. He says nothing at first, only breathes, steady as tide on a still shore. She shares her worries, projects piling like bricks, sleep slipping away like distant waves. She wants to feel fulfilled, but the more she achieves, the more she expects from herself. A hunger for perfection that never quiets. The painter listens, eyes soft beneath heavy lids. He lifts a clean canvas to the easel. Instead of dozens of paints, he chooses 3. Just 3. A slow stroke of grey, another of pale blue, a final curve of gentle brown. Space remains, wide, open, breathing. He steps back, hands resting loosely by his sides. It took me 40 years, he says softly, to learn that more does not make better. A busy canvas is like a busy mind. Everything loud, everything urgent. No room for silence to speak. E4, 180. The woman studies the painting, simple, unfinished, yet deeply peaceful. She feels her breath stretch longer, her chest soften. She realizes her life has become all color. No space, all doing, no being. The painter rinses his brush slowly. The sound of water, gentle as rain on warm earth. In the Satipatthana teachings, he murmurs, We learn to notice, not to force, to see what is here, instead of adding more. And craze no, his voice feels like a hand resting on a tired shoulder. You don't need every task done tonight. He continues. You need space for one quiet moment. Just one. I can see, outside. The sun lowers behind rooftops. The world turning amber. Then rose. Then blue. Light fades. Calm as a sigh, leaving the body. You listening now may recognize this truth, that life grows softer when we stop filling every corner, when we leave space for breath, for rest, for gentle presence. The painter places the brush down, leaning it like a final thought released. Peace is not when nothing is left to do. He whispers, peace arrives when we do less and feel enough. Unquote. The canvas glows in twilight, like a doorway into stillness, inviting the heart toward quiet ease, toward softness, toward sleep. Story 71. The Garden of Unwritten Letters. There is a small garden behind an old house at the edge of a town, where river fog lingers each dawn. Roses grow there, and jasmine, and low beds of thyme and soft chamomile that smell like sun-warmed tea. The garden is quiet, the kind of quiet that feels like a hand resting lightly over a heartbeat, slowing everything to peace. In the center stands a wooden bench, weathered grey by rain and many seasons. On that bench sits a woman in her late years, a basket of envelopes beside her, each sealed but never sent. She once wrote letters every week, letters to friends who moved away, to family she struggled to speak to aloud, to lovers who left or arrived briefly like comets. Bright and temporary, she poured her heart into those pages. Grief, joy, longing, gratitude. Then placed them in envelopes and tied them with ribbon, storing them in her attic, words too tender to release. Years passed. The attic filled. One day, she carried them all to the garden, thinking she would burn them or tear them apart, let memories scatter like ash. Instead, she planted them. She dug small spaces in the soil and tucked each envelope beneath the earth like a seed. Rain came. Spring warmed. Buds opened. And where letters rested, new flowers bloomed, colors soft as breath, petals shaped like folded paper, white blossoms for forgiveness, pale blue ones for hope, rose pink for love, unspoken. Each year she tends this garden, pruning gently, humming softly. She never regrets what was unsent. She simply lets it grow. One afternoon, a young man passes the gate, shoulders heavy with something unspoken. He asks about the flowers, why they lean as if listening. She invites him in, gives him tea, sweetened with honey. They sit on the bench. He shares his story, words he longs to say to someone far away, words afraid to leave his mouth. She listens, nodding slowly like a willow bending in wind. When he finishes, she presses a blank envelope into his hand. Write, she whispers. Not to send, to plant. He writes. Tears fall onto the page. He folds it, seals it, hands trembling. Together, they place it into the soil beneath the jasmine. The earth accepts it without judgment. As evening fades into soft cobalt sky, he stands lighter, breathing easier. The woman smiles gently, her eyes containing years of quiet understanding. Sometimes, she says, voice barely louder than wind in leaves, we do not speak for others to hear. We speak so our heart can rest. We have spested. The garden rustles. calm as sleep approaching. Somewhere beneath the soil, a new flower waits. Story 72. The clockmaker's slow hour. In a village where streets curl like threads of old cloth, there lives a clockmaker named Theo. His shop is narrow, filled with ticking the sound of many hearts beating time. Clocks of oak, brass, and glass line every wall. Tall grandfather clocks breathe slow, oaken notes. Delicate carriage clocks whisper. Pocket watches hum like bees inside velvet drawers. Theo's hands are steady with age. Nails stained with oil. Beard soft as wool. He moves like the hour hand, unhurried. People bring their clocks to him when they rush through life. When deadlines pile like winter snow. When they feel time slipping. They expect quick repairs. Quick solutions. Theo simply smiles, pours them tea, and asks them to sit, to breathe, to listen to ticking steady, calm, unchanged, no matter how frantic the world outside becomes. One cold morning, a woman arrives breathless, clutching a silver watch. It stopped. She says, "I need it fixed today. I have meetings, schedules, everything planned to the minute." Theo accepts the watch gently. He opens it slowly, revealing gears like tiny stars. Instead of working immediately, he places the watch beneath a glass dome and invites her to wait. Minutes stretch. She taps her foot. She checks her phone. Time feels heavy. Theo pours tea. She sips reluctantly. The warmth steadies her hands. The ticking of wall clocks becomes rhythmic. Like waves, her shoulders lower. Breath deepens. She feels something loosening inside her chest. Finally, Theo returns to the watch. He oils the tiniest gear, adjusts the spring, polishes the face until it catches lamplight like a small moon. When he finishes, the watch ticks once more soft, delicate, alive. She reaches for it quickly, but Theo holds it a moment longer. "Your watch was not broken," he says tenderly. It paused. Machines do this when they are overwhelmed. He looks at her with kind eyes. People do too. End round. She stands very still. The ticking fills the space like quiet truth. He places the watch in her hand, warm from his touch. "Leave space," he murmurs. "Let time breathe. Not every moment must be filled." "If node," she nods. The shop door opens into cool evening. The clocks continue ticking unrushed, eternal, as she walks home slower than she arrived. Story 73. The Island of Sleeping Turtles. Far across a calm ocean lies a small island, shaped like a curved palm. Sheltered by turquoise water, gentle as silk. On this island, turtles are sacred. They sleep on the warm sand. Ancient shells, glimmering like stones polished by centuries. Fishermen walk quietly so as not to wake them. Children play near tide pools with soft voices. Even storms seem to pass more slowly here. A traveler arrives one summer with a map and restless heart. He has been searching for something he does not know what. Purpose. Maybe. Peace. Perhaps. He carries too many plans. Too many questions. The island greets him with a warm breeze that smells of salt and mango leaves. He stays with an elderly couple who weave nets in the shade of a banyan tree. They give him a small hut near the shore, where wind whispers through thatched roof and waves breathe against sand. On his first morning, he wakes before dawn and walks along the beach. The sky is lavender. The world is still half asleep. Then he sees them, turtles, lined like smooth stones, eyes closed. Dreaming, he sits beside one, feeling its slow breath. Something inside him softens. Every day he returns. He watches hatchlings toddle toward water like tiny moonlit pebbles. He helps fishermen mend nets. He learns to move slowly, to eat when hungry, to nap when the sun grows warm on his skin. The turtles teach him without language the wisdom of steady rhythm. One evening, as the traveler sits beside the largest turtle, the village elder approaches. Her voice is soft, as if shaped from sea wind. They watch the sunset turn water gold and then ember red. "You arrived searching," she says. "What have you found?" He takes a long breath. The sea answers in waves. "Stillness," he whispers. "And that I do not need to know everything. It is enough to be here." "I'm why." She smiles gently, wrinkles folding like maps to kindness. The turtle walks slowly. She says, "Yet it always arrives. When opalized, night comes like a blanket. Stars bloom. The turtles settle deeper into sand, into dreams. The traveler feels slow, grounded, peaceful. His searching quiets like tide at low moon. Story 74. The library where lanterns never dim. There is a hidden library inside a mountain, reached by a stone stairway carved with worn steps. Few know of it. Those who enter come seeking not information but rest. Lanterns glow like soft stars overhead, each flame steady, patient. Rows of books stretch into candlelit distance, stories of forgotten kingdoms, poems like rain, wisdom written by hands long returned to dust. A young scholar arrives one winter. Snow thick on his cloak. He has been studying without pause, driven by ambition, sharp as ice. His eyes are tired, his mind heavy with facts. He hopes to learn more, not realizing what he truly needs is less. Inside, the librarian, a woman with hair, the color of old paper, greets him with silence and a warm cup of chamomile. She leads him to a reading niche beneath a low arch. Cushions soft as clouds, a blanket scented like cedar. She leaves a single book before him, with no title on its spine. He opens it, expecting pages full of text. Instead, most are blank. Only occasional lines appear, spaced like footsteps, simple thoughts about moonlight, rivers, gratitude. He reads slowly, then slower. Blank pages become comforting, like white sky after snowfall, quiet, clean, restful. Lantern light flickers like a heartbeat. The scholar's breathing deepens. Hours pass without urgency. He drifts through the pages until his eyes close naturally. Book resting on his chest like a sleeping bird. When he wakes, the librarian is near. She asks gently, "Did you find what you came for?" He pauses, remembering the empty pages that felt full. "I think I needed space more than knowledge," he says. She nods. "Wisdom is not only what we learn," she murmurs. "It is also what we release." He leaves the library lighter than he arrived. Snow falls softly outside, each flake a quiet page turned by winter. Story 75. The slow river at evening's edge. A river winds through a valley of tall grass, moving the way breath moves during sleep smooth. Unhurried, forever returning. A man named Elias lives in a small cabin near its bank. He once lived in the city, chasing goals like fish made of gold. Success glimmered, yet always swam ahead, unreachable. So he returned to the valley of his childhood, where the river runs like time that forgives itself. Every evening he sits on the old wooden dock with bare feet hanging above the cool water. Light fades into amber, then violet, then indigo. Fireflies wake like tiny lanterns. Frogs hum in steady rhythm. The world grows soft, wrapped in twilight. One midsummer evening, a neighbor's son visits. Restless and anxious about his future. He talks quickly, hands fluttering. College, career, expectations all buzzing like trapped bees. Elias listens without rush. Then he invites the boy to sit, to let feet touch the river's skin. Water glides, stars rise, silence lengthens until thoughts loosen. When I was young, Elias says quietly, I believed life was a race, but rivers do not rush to the sea, they arrive when they are ready. And the boy watches the river glow under moonlight. Each ripple silver, his breath steadies. The night feels like a long exhale. Do you regret slowing down? The boy asks. Elias shakes his head. I regret the years I hurried, not the years I breathed. They sit until the moon is high, until cicadas trade songs with crickets. The boy leaves later with softer eyes. The river continues, whispering to the banks, patient as time healed. Story 76, Tea with the Wind. In a hillside village where cherry blossoms fall like pale pink snow, there lives a widow named Hana. Each afternoon she prepares tea for two, though only one cup is ever used. She sets the second cup across the table for her late husband, an act not of sorrow but of remembrance. Like a lantern kept lit, her home smells of rice, straw, and dried persimmons. The sliding doors open to a garden where bamboo leans like tired dancers. One day, a wandering monk arrives, requesting shelter. Hana welcomes him. As hospitality is tradition, she serves tea, pouring slowly to honor the leaves. They drink in silence. The garden wind rustles bamboo, chimes singing with soft metal voices. The monk notices the empty cup. He asks nothing. Respect blooms quietly. Hana tells him stories of her husband, how he carved wooden toys, how he laughed like spring rain, how he left suddenly during winter. Her words are tender, unhurried. The monk listens like someone hearing the last notes of a beloved song. Later, as evening paints shadows long and blue, the monk stands beneath cherry trees. Petals fall like blessings on his robe. Hana joins him. They breathe the same cool air, watching petals land on teacups, waiting on the table. The wind carries blossoms, the monk says, and carries them away. Yet the tree does not mourn. It trusts spring will return. Hana closes her eyes. A tear slides like dew. I suppose love is the same. She whispers. They drink tea again in silence. 2 cups now gently used. The night settles around them, soft as falling petals. Story 77, The Mountain That Waited for Footsteps. High in a northern land stands a mountain wrapped in mist. Travelers climb it, seeking clarity, or courage, or something unnamed. The mountain never demands hurry. Snow melts when ready. Flowers bloom when called by sun. It waits for footsteps, the way old friends wait for letters, patient, hopeful. A traveler named Suri arrives one spring, carrying burdens heavy as stones, decisions unresolved, emotions tangled. She wishes the climb to give answers. She begins quickly, eager, almost breathless. The path winds through pines that smell of resin and rain. Birds sing like silver bells, but Suri moves too fast. Thinking wisdom lies at the summit. Halfway up she tires. Legs trembling, she sits beside a mossy boulder. Discouraged, an old shepherd appears, leading sheep that move like drifting clouds. He sits beside her without invitation or need for words. They share apples. The wind brushes their faces. "You climb to find what?" he asks gently. "I don't know." Suri admits. "Peace. Maybe." The shepherd smiles. "Then walk like peace, not like fear." He continues with sheep, slow as meadow shadows. Suri follows his pace. Step, breath, step, breath. The mountain reveals itself gradually wildflowers. Streams clear as glass. Eagles circling like thoughts released. No answers come, but questions soften. At the summit, she watches sunlight spill over valleys like warm milk. Instead of revelation, she feels space, spacious enough for breath, for life. She whispers to the wind. Perhaps peace is not found. Perhaps it comes when we stop chasing. Also, the mountain holds her whisper like a secret kept. Story 78. The boat with no destination. On a wide lake lies a small wooden boat, painted white like a half-remembered dream. It belongs to a man named Rowan, who rows each evening without destination. Villagers ask why he does not fish or hurry across to sell goods in the market. He simply smiles, dips oars into water, and glides. One day, a girl asks to join. Rowan agrees. They row beneath fading sun. Water glitters like scattered silver coins. The girl asks where they are going. Rowan answers, "Here." I caverned. She frowns. "But boats must go somewhere." One. In Risonda. He chuckles softly. Sometimes the journey is the somewhere. Well, they drift. Ducks cross like quiet thoughts. Clouds reflect like cotton ghosts. With no destination, time feels wide. The girl notices details. She never saw dragonflies tracing loops. Lilies opening pale yellow. Breeze smelling of warm lake and pine. As stars appear, she feels peaceful, her mind no longer racing ahead. Rowan rests the oars. The boat rocks gently, like a cradle for tired hearts. "What if someone waits for us?" she asks. Rowan looks at her, eyes kind and deep. Then they will greet us with calm hearts, for they will know we returned, rested. Oh, moonlight spills across still water. The boat drifts home without rush. The girl falls asleep before reaching shore. And Rowan whispers as he carries her gently, "When we release the need to arrive, we discover we are already there." In next time. Story 79. The House of Quiet Tools. In an old carpenter's shop near the forest edge, every tool rests in perfect stillness. Hammers hang like sleeping bats. Chisels gleam with patient purpose. Saws silent as winter branches. The carpenter, Mara, works slowly, one piece of wood each week. Sometimes one each month. She believes wood holds stories and must be listened to. A young apprentice arrives. Eager and quick. He cuts too fast. Sands too hard. Boards splinter. Mara watches with calm eyes. Then sets 2 pieces of cedar on the bench. One she works on herself. Slow strokes. Pauses like breathing. The other she gives to him. Hours pass. Her board shines smooth, smelling sweet. His is rough, chipped. He grows frustrated. Mara says nothing, only invites him to sit by the stove and drink warm barley tea. Fire crackles like old laughter. After tea, she places both boards in his hands. One warm, one uneven. He feels the difference not just in touch, but in heart. "What did you learn?" she asks softly. He looks down, ashamed. "That I rushed." Mara smiles gently. Wood rushes for no one. Shape it with presence, and it will shape you in return. In the quiet, the apprentice breathes slowly, like wood expanding with heat. Over months, he learns rhythm, patience. Tools begin to feel like extensions of calm hands, not urgency. Work becomes meditation. One evening, Mara whispers as they close the shop. The world teaches fast. Wood teaches slow. Choose your teacher wisely. Will one, tools remain quiet, holding peace like pine holds scent. Story 80. Lanterns on the tidal road. There is a road revealed only at low tide, connecting shore to a distant island. When water withdraws, the sand path gleams under lanterns placed by villagers long ago. People cross only when tide favors them, knowing water returns. Knowing haste cannot command the moon. A poet arrives, seeking inspiration. Weary from deadlines, she is told to walk the tidal road at dusk. Lanterns lead her like stars fallen to earth. Each step feels like entering a dream soft sand. Ocean sighs. Sky violet with first hint of night. Halfway across, she meets an old fisherman sitting on a rock, mending net. He invites her to rest. They watch tide breathe in and out. She speaks of pressure, of words forced, like fish caught in too small baskets. He listens. "You cannot pull poems like fish from deep water." He says, "Wait," and they rise like tides. If you know, they sit until the first lanterns reflect on water returning. Waves creep up softly, patient but sure. The poet stands, suddenly unafraid of unwritten pages. As tide overtakes the road, she whispers, "I will return when water falls." "Io," the fisherman nods. Good words wait for low tide. "I was my past." She walks back as lantern flames shimmer. Heart slower, lighter, ready to trust the rhythm of rising and falling, of effort and rest. And now, dear listener, let your breath soften like evening light, flowing in, flowing out, effortless as the tide returning home. You have traveled through quiet places tonight, walked among mountains and gardens, sat beside old friends in silence, and felt the world grow slower with each step. Nothing more is needed. Nothing must be solved. You may simply be here, safe and held by the gentle dark. Feel the body settle. Feel the weight of blankets like a warm embrace. Your thoughts grow light as drifting petals, fading into distance like lanterns over water. There is nowhere to go, no time to chase, only rest. Arriving like moonrise, let every sound drift farther away. Let shoulders loosen, jaw soften, heart open like a flower at dawn. Sleep comes the way, morning mist comes. Slow, kind, uncertain. You are supported by the quiet. You are carried by breath itself. And as you fade into dreaming, may peace surround you like still water. May ease fill your chest like warm tea. The night is deep and gentle, and you are allowed to rest completely. Good night. Softly, slowly, deep into sleep.